Any Valley resident or farmer will tell you, where the water flows, food grows. A few weeks ago, Congress passed H.R. 23, which helped ease restrictions for Valley water users. GWIRE came to Washington and talked with some of those congressmen about what happens next. Washington, the city of memorials, the city of monuments, the city of power. It was July 12th that the latest congressional effort to provide water for Central Valley farmers passed the House of Representatives. H.R. 23, or the GROW Act, passed by 40 votes on the House floor. Representative David Valadao of Hanford wrote the bill. It would designate funds for new water projects, ensure water resources, simplifies the regulatory permitting process for water infrastructure projects, expedite the process for new storage facilities like Temperance Flat and Sites dams, and uphold water holder use rights. We visited with Valadao at his Washington office. He says what's different this time around.
This year, it's a permanent bill. We still have to do something with the San Joaquin River settlement that was not touched in the language last year. And so making sure that we continue to put pressure on our senators so that they come to the table and hopefully get to be part of the conversation. What helps us a lot this time versus last time is we have a president who is willing to sign the bill as is, who actually supports the language and will put pressure from his side as well.
House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy agrees about the importance of Valley farmers getting water.
Because the one thing that we've found, too much of this water, especially in a year like we've had this year in California, is going out to the ocean. It would be better if it was stored, or we could pump or move it down, have the best use, do more water banking, be able to farm, be able to take it into Southern California. These are the years that we should be banking the water for the droughts that we know will come into the future.
Among the California delegation, the vote was split almost along party lines. Only Democrat Jim Costa, who represents Fresno and Valley farmers, voted in favor of it. Keep in mind, 11 representatives in total crossed party lines in the H.R. 23 vote. So how do representatives outside of California view the state's water issues? We asked a few of them on how they decide.
I'm not a scholar. I'm learning a lot from Leader Pelosi, and so California being advanced technologically is taking advantage of really distilling water from the ocean, taking the salt out and using the water to make it usable.
Well, I know there's a divide between North and South in the state, and I think that the commodity of water is becoming more and more an issue for the world. It certainly is for our country as well.
When there were bills like H.R. 23 a few weeks ago, how do you get your information? How do you get your cues?
Primarily from our colleagues and the folks around us, and we look to our California colleagues for their input on that.
At her weekly Washington, D.C. news conference, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi answered my question about what her solutions were to the California water problem. So what's your solution to get these farmers more water?
Now we have to deal with issues that everybody has to deal with. We have to deal with conservation. We have to deal with aquifers and how we perhaps even desalination. I mean, every time we almost get to that point, it rains and people say it's too expensive, let's save it for later. But so many storage, conservation, storage.
Would you support funding for the Temperance Flat Dam in Fresno County?
No, the issue of dams is something that is a much bigger issue than just shout-outs at some of these kinds of meetings. And there's some dams that some of our members support and some dams that they don't in California. And what we want to do is to not violate the Endangered Species Act as one of our criteria for dams and others. Make sure that we have the water that we need to grow our crops, to have the jobs that we need, to do so in a way that is fair to the entire state of California.
Now the bill heads to the Senate, where California's two Democratic senators, Dianne Feinstein and Kamala Harris, have vowed to oppose H.R. 23. The Valley's congressional delegation has mixed feelings on the bill's future.
Well, I don't know if Harris we could ever get there. Diane, we've got some pieces of legislation with her last time, but now we have an administration with President Trump who is supportive of this bill. We've got the cabinet members as well. And remember, Republicans are the majority in the Senate as well, so we'll work with those senators that want to be able to be helpful to us.
But yeah, we're going to keep fighting for water for the valley for every opportunity we've got, and keep this in the front burner so that people know what's going on, and we can get to a real solution.
Reporting from the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, David Taub, GWIRE.